All right, guys. So, in today's video, I'm going to be talking to you guys about one of the greatest transformations that is going to happen in 2026 and moving forward. And pretty much, I'm going to elaborate more on how to actually start winning people over as far as building a brand. And this is a personal strategy that I'm going to adopt. Now that I've switched from dealing with local businesses and I do plan on making my transition to working with more digital companies, this is one core strategy that I'm going to apply throughout all of my efforts of getting traffic or getting more eyeballs on my ideal clients or my ideal ICP, as they would say. Okay. So you guys can follow me through. This is an epistemology of the type of consulting firm that I'm building. So epistemology is essentially the theory of knowledge, especially with regards to methods, fidelity, and the scope. So epistemology is the investigation of what distinguishes justified belief from opinion. Okay. Now, you're probably wondering, why am I mentioning the term epistemology? What is special about this? Okay, don't worry. I'm going to dive a little deeper down as we go through it. And you can see the title of this document is From Transactional Thinking to a Transformational Experience. Because I think whatever high ticket offer, especially if you're trying to command 10 to 20, 30, or even $50,000 upfront from people, which is one of my goals, ideally for the company I want to build, you have to have a certain level of depth and understanding in a form of fidelity, method, and scope of your offer that will actually get people to believe why they should buy from you, right? Then you should have an ontology, right? So ontology is essentially the study of being, existence, explores the nature of reality and what exists. So you need to have a form of ontology of the type of people you want to deal with, the type of company you have. So you need to study why your company exists, explore the nature and the reality of what exists outside of your company. So the clients you want to attract. So you definitely want to have a great length of depth whenever you are, you know, going to be trying to sign clients in 2026. As you guys know, trust is the new currency when it comes to actually selling high ticket offers. I personally do believe that a lot of businesses will collapse in the next coming years. And I'm new to the whole online space, believe it or not. I am just making this shift very slowly, but I have a very grand, detailed plan. It's not going to really go in headstrong. The goal is to build authority in the market, build trust, and really let people know that, hey, I'm someone who actually do have a level of depth, detail, and understanding of what you're going through and how I can help. Okay. So let me introduce you guys. So most businesses today are actually trapped in what we call a transactional thinking, right? Most of the times you see people obsessed with metrics, short-term conversion rates, and vanity KPIs. You see them flaunted all over their Instagram, and there's nothing wrong with that. Show off your client results, show off the results you got, your clients. But I think we need to separate how we view things moving forward in 2026, right? So while these strategies may generate short-term bursts of revenue, they may rarely produce they rarely produce long-term resonance or deep-rooted brand loyalty. So what I mean by that is, like, they may actually get you clients in a burst form, but to really get people to be loyal to your identity, your brand, your company, has to be more than just vanity metrics, KPIs, and conversion rates, right? So the shift I want to help you make is an upgrade in who you are and how you operate. It shifts your role from an operator to more of an architect, right? The marketer to a meaning maker, right? So you're not just some operator, you become an architect, right? You're not just some marketer, you become someone who invokes meaning into the clients you deal with, right? Because the highest form of business isn't transactional, it's actually transformational, right? And when I'm saying business, I'm saying like any form of service provider or high-end service provider where you're offering a done-for-you service, not like a course or anything like that, but a genuine done-for-you service where you're going into the business and you're doing it with them or doing it for them. the highest form of that is transformational, right? And how do you deliver that? This isn't just a methodology shift. It's a conscious recalibration of how you see value, growth, and client experience. Okay. Keep that in the back of your mind. Client experience is the most important thing. Now, the limits of transactional thinking. I'm going to tell you guys why, posting vanity metrics. Like I said, none of these things, like, I'm not saying they don't work or they're bad, but I want to talk to you guys about the limitations of it, right? So transactional thinking is mechanical, right? It's commodified relationships and it minimizes the soul of business in actuality. If you look at Hormozy, when he's actually giving value, rarely do you see him talking about, oh, we got this client like $1 million or $1 bazillion, right? He rarely talks about that, right? He lets the clients speak for themselves. He lets them demonstrate their value. He rarely shows, of course, he has a pretty big company and some things definitely do need to be private, but it's all about delivering the value, right? So it reduces the client interaction to mere data points, right? Removing the human essence from service, right? Symptoms of transactional thinking typically could be prioritizing short-term revenue over lifetime value, viewing clients as numbers instead of individuals on a journey, using high-pressure closing tactics rather than just building trust frameworks, and creating surface-level experiences that lead to client churn, and more importantly, exhausting yourself in a cycle of more leads, more sales, instead of designing an intelligent infrastructure to elevate the client experience and increase your client retention. Okay. Now, the result you get from this is a fragile business model that consistently needs fuel, ads, promotion, and urgency tactics to stay alive. You notice how some people, they're riding a trend. Now, some trends are definitely more important you want to take advantage of, like example, AI. But you have a lot of people who are constantly going in this cycle of ads, promotion, urgency tactic. And you'll see it amongst many agencies, consultants, or coaching business. And what I'm talking to you guys is just what I have observed in the marketplace. Okay. This is coming from me, someone who's been working with local companies and had a desire to switch to working with more digital companies. And I'm thinking things very thoroughly and trying to understand what I'm up against and what I need to do to actually stand out, right? So in contrast, transformational businesses fuel themselves with resonance through systems designed around depth, trust, and scalable value delivery. Okay. I'm gonna say that one more time. A business that actually delivers a transformational experience, they oftentimes fuel themselves, right? And that's through systems designed around depth, trust, and scalability. To have depth in the system you're delivering to your client requires detail. So what I mean by detail is you have to actually understand how each component works. Not just like something that you just hand off, but you need to know that how will your client experience the system? How will their clients experience the system? And what trust factors are you implementing for your business? What trust factors are you also implementing for your clients' businesses, right? And more importantly, how is the value you're delivering scalable, right? For some people, it's info. But for some other people, it's normally systems that consistently keep delivering value for the client, aka a retention system, a client retention system you may implement for a business where every time that client acquires a sale, they also have a higher chance of increasing their client retention over time, right? So you have to kind of view things from a more depth, a detailed perspective, a more trust lens, and a scalable value delivery, essentially, delivering value continuously. Now, the essence of a transformational experience is it pretty much boils down to this, right? A transformational business doesn't just serve, it elevates. It becomes a catalyst in the client's evolution, right? Weaving meaning into every touch point and creating conditions where growth becomes inevitable. And a lot of times this could come down to the client's journey is scarce and every touch point matters. The system is an ecosystem, right? It's not like, I'm not saying a community, it's an ecosystem of value, not a funnel, right? So that means every time they're experiencing you, pause, not like, but every time they're experiencing you, whether that's your content, your videos, it's constantly delivering something transformational for them, right? And you'll see this among some great creators, right? Hormozy is a great example. I'm going to talk to you guys about my personal favorite as well. But the system is the ecosystem. It's not the funnel, right? Sales is not persuasion, it's mainly alignment. So that means when people are hopping on these calls, you are closing people who are already aligned with what you are doing. Okay, so that means you do not need to actually force a lot of persuasion tactics, or your closer doesn't need to really have a lot of stress going on. It's just kind of like boom, 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 right? Sales become very easy because the client's already aligned, right? Because they've already gotten a bunch of transformational experiences from your content, your ecosystem, the value you deliver, whether that's in your reels, your stories, etc. Right now, retention is not a tactic. Retention is the result of of significance delivered. Right, and significance could be making someone feel more significant about themselves, about their business, about their mindset, and you delivered that to them. Right. And transformation requires structure, right? Impact is a byproduct of design, okay? To create an impact in someone else's business, what I've come to realize, it's merely just structure. Delivering structure for someone that ultimately leads to a transformational experience, and the byproduct is an impact in who they are as an individual, their business, and their mindset. Okay. Now, transformational experiences becomes your moat, right? It's your gravitational field. When people enter your world, they feel the difference in your energy, your systems, your intentionality. They feel all of these things. And a person that embodies this the most, I'm going to say his name is SooWei, right? He's the founder of Go Consulting. And this guy, the way he gets people in his ecosystem, the way he gets them to feel, the way he gets them to be aligned with their journey, and the way he takes them all the way through his journey, it's truly transformational. And one of the greatest things that I've seen him share is he refunded a client $11,000. Why? Because it's not about vanity. It's not about the metrics. If the client is not aligned with what he's trying to achieve for his company, his clients, why even go after the sale? If anything, it degrades his overall goal, right? And that's to work with clients who align with his business, right? His transformational experience. So now, why this shift matters. In a saturated, distracted, and transactional market, experience become the new acquisition strategy. Literally delivering a quality experience to people will become the new acquisition strategy. And you know what experience falls underneath? Client retention. People don't just want services, right? They want narratives. They want environments, stories, outcomes, right? They can emotionally attach to. Now, by shifting to a transformational design, you build deeper client relationships. You increase lifetime value without burnout. You reduce churn and create consistent referrals. You become a magnetic brand that attracts aligned clients, not just traffic. Keep in mind, you become magnetic. You attract people who actually aligns with what you want to do. It's like organic on steroids, right? So now SGP is a protocol that I'm delivering, right? I'm not going to say too much about it. I'm not going to talk too much about it or say what it is, what it does, but is the whole goal is to help businesses deliver what SooWei is doing, right? And is to help you build an infrastructure that delivers not just deliverables, but an elevated experience for your clients, right? Because in high ticket sales, majority of it comes down to delivering consistent value and the experience for the client. If someone pays you $20,000, $10,000, you got to make sure their experience is great. Even if someone pays you $3,000, $10,000, $1,000, experience is by far the most. It's your moat. It's your holy grail, right? So you go from an operator to an architect. The founder operating from transformation is not just a business owner. They are an experienced designer, a belief shifter, and a result catalyst, right? This is the true identity calibration that powers my future protocol, right? Teaching founders how to execute this. You don't just sell an offer, you engineer client journeys, right? You don't just close deals. You open transformational cycles, right? You don't build funnels, you build ecosystems of experience. So reflection prompts, right? take a moment to calibrate your thinking before moving forward. Okay. And I want to leave you guys with a few things. Where in your business have you defaulted to a transactional thinking, right? A transactional mindset, whether that's your onboarding process, your sales process, your backend, your fulfillment, right? What would what would it look like to build transformational systems around your offer, right? And how can you deliver a transformational experience around your entire offer from front to back end, right? How would your energy shift if you focused on client ascension and not just acquisition, right? If you focused on dialing in where you know your clients will feel, where they will get. So where they are now, where they're going to get, how they're going to feel when they get there. If you can dial that in and you understand that on a deeper level, and you focus on the client ascension and their journey, I promise you, you elevate their experience tenfold and they will become loyal and aligned with your brand, right? So now, what small changes can you make today to elevate your client experience, okay? Now, remember, when you design experiences that transform, not just transactions that convert, your business becomes unforgettable. Don't forget, Sue from Go Consulting. Look at how everything is engineered perfectly. And at the core of it is transformational experiences and authenticity. Okay. He's being authentic all the way through. And that is the future of business that a lot of people need to start adapting urgently. Not just on the front end and displaying it in the content, it must be displayed even on the back end and their experience with the client. Once again, if this video was very helpful for you and you believe it could help you out, ask me a few questions in the comment section. I'll feel free to answer them as well. You can also check out a few of the links in the description. You can also check out my podcast there. I talk more about my journey on building divine acquisition, step by step, slowly, and with precision.